Hello and welcome to this episode of Sustainable Stace. Today we're talking about dry beans, planting them, picking them, and their many uses and nutritious options in your life. Stay tuned.
I'm Stacy Taves. For me, healthy food and sustainability are totally connected. You can grow it yourself. Nature is generous.
Hey guys, welcome back again to Sustainable Stace, and today we're talking about dry beans. Now I'm in a garden here where, amongst other things, we've grown 2 rows of 2 separate types of beans. Now they grow in a pod, just like regular beans and peas. They're in the legume family. The beautiful thing when you grow any type of legume is they take nitrogen from the atmosphere that's out there that you can't see, and they do beautiful things with it, and through their roots they fix it into the ground, which creates nutrition, nitrogen that's accessible for all the other plants that will come after them. So whenever you're growing beans, you're actually fertilizing the ground naturally, which is a beautiful thing. But these beans are specifically designed to be eaten after they've dried out and then cooked up, rather than just eating them fresh like you normally would eat many other beans. This is a very common peasant food in many countries around the world. And I just want to come up close because I've got a variety here of a pole bean that grows, about 6 feet, 2 meters tall. And I've got a row of 20 plants of pole beans here, and I've filled up 2 5-gallon buckets picking those from 20 plants. It was 20 seeds, and now it's 2 5-gallon buckets. I've got 10 gallons of beans from 20 seeds. So that's vigorous abundance, right? And then I've got another row of bush beans, so no poles, no stakes, and they just grew low to the ground. What I want to show you is just what they look like. So I'm going to come up really close here so you can take a peek. Now these ones are the pole beans. Do you see those ones? Beautiful. There's about 8 or 10 of them in each pod, and those are the pole beans. And then check out the yin-yang action here. These are the bush beans. We've got about another 20-30 plants of those. Now any of these, once they've dried out, can be stored indefinitely. You just got to get them dried out. You put them in a Ziploc bag. No freezing, no cooking, nothing until you're ready to use them. And then with hydration and cooking, they become your refried beans or a host of other things in salads and all sorts of applications. They're beautiful to look at, abundant, grow naturally, and they improve your soil's health while you grow them. There's hundreds of types. These are just 2. There's nothing magical about harvesting beans, guys, because the beautiful thing about these is when the plant looks like it's given up all its life and energy, and it has, it's truly dead now. It's not putting any more energy or vigor from the root system. It's done growing beans, and you can work on your own timeline on when to harvest. You see these beans, they look all different colors, the pods do from the outside. I'll bring them up so you can see them close. They're completely dry, they're getting rattly, but it's been raining for a few days, so they're a little bit moist, and once we dry them out inside, then we can shuck them, and they can be stored indefinitely. So it's a beautiful thing, right? So it's just pick and store and then get them in a dry spot, spread them out in some newspaper, something like that. And you can see how this one plant that's my height has got dozens, maybe even 100 pods. Every pod has 6, 8, 10 beans inside it. So you're dealing with possibly 1,000 seeds coming off of the one seed that caused the plant to grow. You get a crazy ROI. If you want a wonderful return on your investment, growing beans is a great way to go. And like I've said, and I'm going to keep on saying it, it makes your soil healthier. So anything you plant after you've had beans there is going to do better than before you had beans there. It's just a regular good guy in the garden all the way around. And you can plant them in late spring, early summer. Take very little care. I just put some metal posts in. You could use wooden posts, bamboo stakes, and they have gorgeous flowers. You see those flowers and those beautiful beans that are there in the image when they were in mid-production in the middle of summer? And then you can wait kind of whenever you want. These could have been picked a month ago. I just haven't got around to it, so I'm picking them now. Isn't that awesome? Loving the fact that we got those beans to work with all through the winter. Beautiful things. So now I'm sitting here and I'm not done harvesting, and this bucket's heaped and this bucket's almost full as well. So that's a whole lot of beans going on in the bean patch. Check out the beans, guys. Now these are some of the beans that we've been shucking from our pole beans and our bush beans. One thing I've discovered this year is picking the pole beans is way easier because they're hanging down, right? Whereas the bush beans have kind of like been worked into the soil, or they're fallen onto the ground, and especially after it's rained a bit, they're hard to find. So we're shucking them now, and what you can't hear is brittleness because these aren't very dry. They've still got moisture in them and have to dry further. So behind me here, I've got one really simple technique to work on drying them out. So let's just check this out. So here we are. This is obviously the way that we pick the beans, and these are sounding fairly dry. But remember, we pulled them out of the garden in big 5-gallon pails. So if you spread them out like that, they're gonna have a lot more airflow on them than if you leave them in the pail. So put them on a tarp or a sack, put them out in the sun, or even in a garage or on the floor of a shed, and if you have to move it, just pick up the corners, spread it out somewhere. In a couple days, they'll get nice and dry. And obviously the goal is, when you do have the time, you wanna get around to shucking them and getting them into bowls, and then eventually when they're nice and dry, getting them into some sealed bags. Could even be in paper bags. They're gonna store indefinitely. The key is just get them dry. So, you know, don't make them dictate your pace. Just slow down, and when you get time, once they've dried out, shuck them and you're good. They'll stay like this for weeks, even months, if you don't get around to it initially. So just don't sweat it. Get them spread out in a place that's out of the way. Let them dry. When you have time, it's kind of my version of knitting in the winter. I sit beside the fire when it's cool and rainy, and I shuck beans. It's a nice thing to do. Beans are really simple to grow, guys, and that's why they're so accessible for anybody. If you feel like, oh, I don't have a green thumb, I don't know how to grow things, start out with something like beans. Pole beans are super rewarding. You put one seed in the ground and something's gonna grow likely taller than you. Beautiful flowers, great for the pollinators. You can even intersperse other plants that you love growing in between the beans, and the good energy from the beans is gonna flow into those plants and help them do better in the soil as well. So they're easy to plant. They grow pretty much on their own. You don't need to do anything with them. And if you grow bush beans, no pole needed. If you grow pole beans, you're gonna get a way better harvest if you do put a pole in next to every plant or 2 plants. And as I said, I had 20 plants here in a row that's about 30 feet long, and I'm getting 10 gallons of beans harvested off of that. So it's an amazing productive crop in terms of what you get back for what you put into the soil. Just get out there and do it. One of these pods right here, 2 for sure, and you could grow a couple rows of beautiful beans. It's an easy way to get started. Find a way to get your hands on some dry beans and go nuts and have fun. Hey guys, it's Sustainable Stace signing off for this one. If you've been watching this video on YouTube with my bucket running over of dry beans, I want to encourage you to check out there in the corner and subscribe so that you can get a regular email telling you that there's more hopeful, helpful, healthy messages and how-tos coming out from Sustainable Stace, like this one on beans and many other things related to seeds and plants and fruit and berries and poultry and bees and everything else in between. So enjoy, hope you like it, hope you subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching.